mynews.studio.
If you look across rooftops and fields, from Lagos to Cape Town, you'll see solar panels everywhere. The question is, can this surge in solar power across Africa actually shift the future of global energy?
Today is February 7th, 2026. The growth is hard to ignore. Last year, Africa's solar power installations jumped by 54%. That's the fastest rate we've ever seen on the continent. What's behind this rapid acceleration?
It comes down to several things. Solar panels and batteries are getting cheaper. Governments are reforming policies, and there are new ways to finance projects. We're seeing both large utility-scale installations and smaller household systems taking off. For millions, this has meant getting power for the first time.
Let's dig into that. Take South Africa, for example. The government made permitting simpler and stabilized tariffs, which brought in private investors. That alone added 1.6 gigawatts of solar capacity in just a year. Is this proof that policy changes can really drive results?
It is. When governments set clear regulations and make it easier to connect to the grid, private companies are more willing to get involved. But if you look at Nigeria, the picture changes. Their agencies like the Rural Electrification Agency and the Electricity Regulatory Commission focus on off-grid systems. They've enabled households and businesses to sell surplus power back to the grid, adding over 800 megawatts.
That's a good point. Is most of this growth happening in cities, or are rural areas seeing it too?
It's both. In fact, a lot of the momentum is coming from local entrepreneurs and communities. Rooftop panels, mini-grids, commercial setups, they're showing up everywhere, especially where the national grid doesn't reach. So, it's really a bottom-up shift.
But financing, how are people actually paying for these systems, given the upfront costs can be pretty steep?
That's where innovation comes in. We're seeing more local currency loans and partnerships between public banks, development agencies, and private firms. These make solar more accessible to households and small businesses. It's not just big institutions investing. There's genuine participation at every level.
Right. But there's still a huge gap. Over 600 million people in Africa lack reliable electricity. Can this solar growth really close that gap?
It's starting to. When people get access to electricity, it opens doors to jobs, education, and healthcare. And because solar is decentralized, it doesn't depend on the main grid, so it's less likely to be disrupted by failures or climate events.
What about jobs? Are we seeing new employment in these sectors?
Yes, absolutely. There's growth in installation, maintenance, and even manufacturing. Local businesses are hiring, and there's momentum toward industrialization that isn't tied to fossil fuels. It's a different kind of development path.
But are there hurdles? Things like policy uncertainty or lack of reliable data? What could slow this momentum?
Policy remains a risk, especially where rules can change suddenly and unsettle investors. South Africa is a good example. In Nigeria, not every solar system is logged, so the real impact could be larger than the official numbers show. Transparent data and stable regulation are crucial.
Globally, what does Africa's progress mean? Is it offering a new blueprint for other regions?
It is. Africa is showing how it's possible to leapfrog fossil fuels and address both energy poverty and climate change at the same time. Other countries in Asia and Latin America are watching closely. If it can work here, there's no reason it can't work elsewhere.
So it's not just about technology. Policy, finance, community choices, they all matter. But do you think the growth can keep up, or could it stall?
The growth looks strong, but it relies on stable policies, accessible financing, and open data. If those stay in place, the boom could continue, and maybe even change the world's energy landscape.
That's Africa's solar surge, a 54% leap, millions gaining electricity, and a model for sustainable development. The next challenge, can the rest of the world keep pace?
Thanks for joining us. This episode is brought to you by mynews.studio. You can try it for free.